Old track. I don't know how it ends. Hello, everybody. How's it going out there? I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. It's no fun if you guys don't show up, man. It's a drag. So we have a wonderful day today. We've got a guest coming in to the Zoom as well as our regular guys, which is really nice to have you. Sean McGowan, I believe, will be joining us. We'll find out. But anyway, so that song was called The Days of Wine and Whiskey. And, you know, lately it's been more whiskey than wine. I got to think of a better breakfast food. You know, a little more protein. I thought Wes was calling me. Anyway, so we have a wonderful show lined up. What we're going to do is talk to Sean. If I have a break in a little while, I'm going to play a tune from my. I just completed a bunch of Beatle tunes, so I'll play a tune like that while we take a short break. This is when you're on the bandstand and you turn to the leader, you go. That means take a break. Don't keep going. Break. So remember that. We got to fix the Zoom screen. Okay. What do you got to make it bigger? So Wes is in Idaho.
So what do I do, Wes?
He's working the Zoom screen. He's flying back today, but he won't be here until 8. So, flying in at 8. Anyway,
Okay, the square.
so let's see.
Just flip that.
It looks to me like we have Locke here. Locke, what's happening, man?
Hold on, there's no mouse. Just a second.
Locke,
I'm confused by this screen, but I found my unmute. I'm good today, Rich. Good to see you too.
yeah. Is that, are you in your, what do they call those things? Not flannels, but, you know, when it's real cold. What do you call those clothes?
No, this is just a regular T-shirt.
What?
Wool?
It's a perfectly fine weather here in Colorado today.
Really?
Not-
You'll give it
Not
an
too
hour.
cold, not too hot.
Give
It's
it
all
an
good.
hour. Trust it'll change, right? Good for you. And we have Mike. Mike, what's happening in Florida? Life is good.
Third day of hurricane season.
Oh, yeah. Let's twist again like we did last summer. Oh, it's the twister. And Eric, I think your mic's
Hey,
on this. What?
so I got to hop off here to get to the airport.
Okay.
But, keep an eye out for Sean. He's going to be jumping in the Zoom room, and you'll have to admit him when he comes in.
Okay. As well as anybody else, right?
Yeah, keep an eye on it.
Roger. I don't know. Where do you
All
see
right,
it?
see you guys.
That'll just pop up, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
or you'll see it right here on this left side.
Okay.
See you guys.
All right. Thanks,
Well,
Wes.
have a good show.
Bye. Eric, what's happening, man?
Severson has left the meeting.
So,
72 here in southwestern Oregon.
nice. Nice. Your audio is real low. And so these are the Zoom guys are all on the library. And boy, how does that work? Let's see. That's that, and that's this, and this is that. Okay. And whoops, there's somebody. Got to admit, I have to admit. Oh, jeez. It's not going there. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Houston, we've got a problem. I'm trying to admit him, but this is on some weird thing over here. Yeah. Oh no. Hey, Wes. Wes, help. Wes. Yeah, what's going on there? Okay, I'm going to have to go to the other computer. Hold on, guys. Sorry.
I adjusted my input volume. Is it better now? Everyone hearing me okay?
It's about the same on my end.
How about now?
Oh, that does it. That did it.
Okay, thank you.
Two people have joined the meeting.
Right.
Houston, we've got a problem. Anyway. Hey, Sean, what's happening?
Hey, what's happening, everybody? How you doing, Rich? Hey, Wes. I know you're in there.
Wes left.
Oh no, he's like doing some IT work.
Oh, well, I think he's getting ready to go on an airplane. Hi, Justin. So here's our special guest, Sean, right there. Do you see him?
Hey everybody.
Blink.
All right, nice to see you all.
Blink, Sean. Okay. Sean is going to be our guest at the workshop this year. And we've tried for a couple of years to get him to come, but he won't let us. No, I'm
It's
just
a very difficult contract. Lots of riders, lots of problems, lots of issues.
yeah. A lot of we saved up enough blue M&Ms, so you're in now.
I'm in. It's making the trip worth it. How many? Actually, I'm just curious. How many here right now are gonna be at Yosemite? Less than 2 weeks.
Well, Justin will
Justin,
be
all right.
there. I think
Right
that's
on.
the only one of these characters right here.
Very cool. Lachlan, I won't see you out there at Yosemite.
I think I let you know I had to cancel out because I have a wedding anniversary.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I remember you saying that now.
Yeah, and I after I lobbied hard for Rich to get you there, and now you're there and I'm not this year.
We'll miss you. We'll miss
Well,
you.
maybe you can do a repeat performance next year.
Well,
It
you
all depends on the M&Ms.
yeah.
I told him to keep my deposit and just put it toward next year.
So yeah, so that'll be really fun to have you. And by the way, Clay, hello. Just saying hello. Before we go any further, hold on. Ready for this?
You will not laugh. You will not cry. You will learn by the numbers. I will teach you. Sound off like you got a pair. Sir, yes, sir. Here you are all equally worthless.
I just had to put that in there. That's our roll call thing. And so, because we've got some guys on YouTube too, Sean, and they're in their comment section, and Gail's working that comment board. And I just want to acknowledge them, like Zilla Billa Media, howdy from Marin, Idaho. So Marin, yeah, my daughter's in Twin Falls. Wes is there now and leaving. Don from Maine, hi Don, and Jim Chaplin. Hello, Jim. David Bronson from Florida. What's happening? Ciao. I guess he's from Italy. Pablo Spada. And then video looks great. New camera. No new camera. Different lights. Guitar Vox. Greetings from Seattle. Go back to the Zoom screen and click admit if you can. I don't see you on the screen, my friend. Crap. Keep trying. It should come up. And then Rolf Simons from Colombia. Boy, I bet he's got some good coffee down there. YouTube feed is fine. David Bronson. Thank you, David. Anyway, there it is. There's everybody. Thank you for joining us. Now let's proceed. Ready? Sean, I am going to ask a question. We have a question of the day here. But before we do that, because I know you're going to have a lot of input into this. Clay, we lost your video feed, by the way. And I want to tell you, I just started listening to this audiobook by a fella named James Clear. And James Clear, wherever his audiobook is, right here, Atomic Habits. Wonderful book. And I just started the first couple of chapters. But the premise of the book is small little habits lead to big gains. And he cites a lot of examples, which I'm not going to go into, but I'm realizing how true this is. You know, we all have habits. Everything becomes a habit. You either have bad habits or you have good habits. But tiny little things can really improve your playing. And also, and this is where I'm going to refer to Sean, tiny little things can help you from getting injured while playing, right? So some of the little things that I think can help you, just off the cuff here, thinking that your overall sound of the guitar, little things like forcing yourself until it becomes a habit to pick over the pickup, as opposed to back here, where you get a more of a tinnier sound, so you get a better sound. Using a stiff pick, planning short little practice times, like when you get up in the morning, just a little bit of time before you leave for work or get your coffee or whatever you do, sit down with the instrument for 10, 15, 20 minutes and you're done. Maybe at lunch, make it a habit of doing that. After lunch, play a couple of tunes. Before you go to bed, play a couple of tunes. Little things like that on a consistent basis. Another thing, a habit of maybe listening to more music instead of watching TV. Maybe listen to a few cuts, or make it a habit of, if you watch a show, maybe put on a CD and just listen for a couple of cuts, just something. Practicing out of an amplifier instead of always without an amp. And even maybe putting that amplifier ear level, so you know, or close to ear level, so you know what sound you're producing. Just kind of forcing yourself to do that until it becomes a habit. So my question of the day is, what are some little habits that maybe you do that might help others? Now, at this point, I'm going to refer to Sean.
Well, that was all sage wisdom. I agree with everything that you said in a really profound way. I think it's important to realize that just small incremental change that like Rich spoke about, and I write about in my new book, The Holistic Guitarist. There's a few chapters in there on practicing creatively. All right, nice. So this corresponds to the Japanese concept of Kaizen, which is just small incremental change. But on a guitar level, all of those things that Rich mentioned are really important. And I think sometimes people, when it comes to practice, we get defeated before we even pick up the guitar, because immediately we're thinking of our to-do list. Oh, I'm so busy today. I've got to do this and this and that, and responsibilities of life. And just like Rich said, if you can just force yourself to, it helps if your guitar is on the stand, just grab it and play a tune. I do that all the time, even with a busy day. So for example, I've been practicing some of the tunes for camp, I try to make it a habit to learn Charlie Parker tunes, just to like learn new ones, or just for my technique and everything. But Bloom Dito is a tune that I've only played a few times. I don't really know it, didn't have it under my fingers, and that's one of the tunes for camp. So I've been doing that recently. Just whenever I pick up the guitar, just play Bloom Dito. Start off very slow, and then gradually increase the tempo, and I'll just play it like maybe, I don't know, 10 times, maybe more than that. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that only takes a couple of minutes out of your day. And then if that's all I have time for, I put it down. But whenever I'm just coming and going, I'll just pick it up and I'll play some tunes. working on a new standard is a great way to do that. Like, let's say if you're working on East of the Sun or any of those other tunes, you can play, once you've learned the melody, meaning that you've placed it on the fretboard and you've got a good fingering and all of that, play the head once or twice through. Maybe try to in a different key or a different position if you want, once you get to a certain level of knowing it. But just play the melody once through, and then just play the chords once through. What I like to do is maybe take a chorus playing a bass line, and then I'll take a chorus imagining that I'm playing with a trio, and I'll just comp. Just imagining I'm comping behind somebody. And then I'll take a solo, and then I'll take the melody back out. Of course, you can do this with a play along, like iReal Pro or any backing tracks online or whatever. But I really like doing it just either by myself, out of time, free if I'm still learning the tune, or I'll just set on the metronome, put the metronome on 2 and 4. And then again, just doing those things, just taking maybe 4 choruses, just takes a few minutes, and then you can move on with the rest of your day. Doing things like that are so much better than going days without playing, and then all of a sudden it mounts up, and then you feel guilty, and with that you're part of that vicious cycle. So it's kind of like how a lot of doctors and fitness people are advising people that spend a lot of their jobs working online or working from home to just like force yourself to take a break from your laptop, get up and just do some squats or just do some hand stretches or some shoulder stretches. It's kind of the same thinking. You'd be amazed at the benefits that add up, and that's absolutely true with playing. So set that bar really low, like just get rid of any expectations like, oh my gosh, I have to play for 8 hours. I've got 100 songs to learn. I have to master jazz guitar this weekend. That's unrealistic, and it's not beneficial at all. So if you set that bar really low, I'm just like, I'm going to learn the melody, or even just 4 bars of the melody to Bloom Dido today. And that's all I'm going to do for a couple of days, and then just build on that gradual progress. You'll be amazed at how much you can learn.
Yeah, absolutely right. Those small, in his book, he calls it atomic habits. And the reason he calls it that, he said, the atom is the smallest increment. And then out of that becomes like an atomic bomb, you know what I mean? So it's like the same thing, these small little things. Sean is so right when you just get your hands on the guitar, but many times in a day, but try to make a habit out of doing it at a specific time, if possible. So I know for me, for decades, the first thing I do when I get up is, now I take my pills, and then I take my coffee. I make a cup of coffee, and then I go get the guitar, and I'll sit there and play. And what I played, I don't even know half the time what I do. I like to do a lot of exploring on the guitar, and so I do a lot of that, or like Sean said, maybe playing a few choruses, and it can even be out of time. Whatever. It doesn't always have to be in time of a tune. So
I think that really sets the tone for your day, and I strongly advise this with my younger students at college, for example, who are quite often chained to social media and their phones, and that's the first thing they do when they wake up. If you can kind of resist the temptation of doing that, I've been doing this as well, and just like either read just a few pages out of a book or a chapter, or play guitar, or listen to a song. I think what Rich mentioned earlier is super important. For example, I just finished the newer Wes Montgomery biography that just came out in 2023 by Oliver Dunskis. And it's great. And so I just try to, that's the kind of book where you can just like, it's just full of stories about Wes's life and Wes's recordings. So I'll just read a couple of pages, have some coffee, and then pick up a guitar, or maybe I'll just put on some headphones and listen to a Wes tune. I think I'm discovering all of these Wes recordings that I hadn't been aware of, like the NDR Hamburg live recording when he was in Europe. It's an amazing recording with a big band in Germany, and the sound is spectacular. So though all of those things, I find that I'm in a better mood, and my day is off to a much better start, as opposed to jumping right into emails and social media stuff, and then you fall into the pit of scrolling, and then you usually feel worse than you did when you got on there. So
isn't that the truth?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really true.
Yeah, it's like, oh god.
It's a trap.
Even if you get good emails, it's like a waste of time almost. And then you go on Facebook, and then I go down the DIY things, and all the hacks, and pretty soon a half an hour has gone by. But I've learned how to get a screw out that's been stripped. Little stuff.
Hey, Rich, remember, I think Mitch at camp said something like making sure you don't play the same thing. Most people pick up their guitar and they immediately go to the same riff, and he was saying something like 10 years later they're playing the same thing. So that's another point, I think.
That's right. Hi, Sandy. Thanks for
Hey,
joining
how
us.
you doing?
That's a good point that you make, Clay. So for that reason also, like I'll just have my guitar nearby at all times, and then I have a couple of books. So like right now, I've on my music stand, I've got an Ike Isaacs book, and I have the book of Carcassi Studies, and I'll just it's just like Rich said, like a habit. Like you have your coffee and your breakfast and you're brushing your teeth. It just becomes a part of your daily routine. And I'll just sit down, and I won't do it for an hour. I'll just sit down for a couple of minutes and just get my fingers on one of those Carcassi, etudes, or just a page out of the Ike Isaacs book. And that's it. And then I'll walk away, and then it's still much better than not doing it at all.
Oh yeah, way better. Even though you don't feel like you'll never master a lot of the pieces that he's talking about. It's very hard. You have to become a concert violinist to master some of this stuff.
Right.
But you're exposed to it, and you've taken up, like a taste. And once you get that taste, a lot of times it's like, wow, maybe I'd like to eat the whole thing. So it's very inspiring. I think. I've got something that I'll show you a little bit later that I think is very helpful for everybody. But anyway, Sean, could you talk a little bit about habits that people probably ought to do so they don't get hurt? I just went through my wrist, and this has been something that has scared me for a long time, is I don't want to, my fingers are all jacked up, but they work. But my wrist I always felt it was okay, but I don't want to hurt my wrist because I know that I've had it before. That's a very painful thing. But I did something to it, and for about, maybe now 5 weeks, this thing has been really bothering me. And that's why we sold our bikes and stuff. I don't want anything to do with falling down. And so but anyway, I went to my chiropractor, and he was messing with that thing and pushing around and pushing, and it felt so much better afterwards. But he's pushing so hard on me, he ended up tearing my skin here. It's weird. So he was like, oh my God, I got old man skin. But the point is, I did something along the lines, and I really strained my hand, and I don't know actually why I did it. I don't know if it was something I did in the yard or something, but anyway, when that happens, it's a drag. So, but Sean, could you address some things that they ought to be conscious of so people don't hurt themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. So right off the bat, the two things that come to mind are cumulative or repetitive trauma. Those words are really important because most of the injuries, there's idiosyncratic injuries among different instrumentalists, bassists, drummers, piano player, whatever we play, but they all have that kind of underlying cause of repetitive or cumulative. And it's tough because the cumulative nature of it means it happens over time. So you could be doing something that doesn't have any, adverse effects for weeks or months or even years later. So just being aware of that, and actually that feeds into the second point, is really cultivating a self-awareness in your playing. So what that means is, I think if you're not accustomed to doing that, the first thing to do is just like record yourself while you play guitar. You know, just set up your phone on a stand or whatever, and do a little video. And then as you watch yourself, don't listen as much as like see how you play. Like, how does your back look? What does your neck look like? Are you physically kind of contorted in a way that you could say like, wow, I had no idea that I looked like that. You know, that's kind of the first level of developing self-awareness when you play, is recognizing how you look. And then I think on a slightly deeper level is recognizing how you feel. So one way to do that is you could be playing a tune and then just stop while you're comping or soloing or playing a chord melody, whatever. Just stop yourself halfway through and then freeze and then just check yourself. So what do your legs look like? Are your feet all jacked up and contorted under this chair? That's a big one that I see a lot. And then, 15 minutes later, you get up out of the chair and your legs are asleep or your ankles are sore, lower back is a big one too. So, again, just stop and check yourself. If you have a mirror in your practice room, you can look and just check in with your spine. How is your spine looking? How does your neck feel? Of course, how do your fingers and hands feel? So developing those varying degrees of self-awareness is really important. So eventually you can cultivate this technique that's absolutely effortless.
Yeah.
Another good thing to get in the habit of, speaking of good habits, is get in the habit of stretching out your body and especially your hands and wrists. And we'll do some of this, we'll do a lot of it at camp actually in all of my classes. And just add that to your habit. Before you even pick up the guitar, do some simple stretches. And then maybe get into the habit of doing stretches before you get on the computer and you're working on your laptop. Because again, this is a static, just like this is a static position if you're doing too much of this without a break. Another habit that you can integrate that will help with that is setting timers, whether it's on your phone. You shouldn't practice for more than like 30 minutes-ish. It could be 20 minutes, but never any longer than 40 minutes at a time without just taking a break, getting up, stretching, have some water, those kinds of things. That whole idea of like a 3-hour, and I realize that some people have gigs that are longer, but practicing for 8 hours a day or 3 hours a day, that's kind of a myth. You don't need to do that. In fact, you'll do it, and that probably will cause more harm than good. And then just one last thing Rich mentioned about doing yard work. This is something that is very common, and sometimes people refer to this as NMAs for non-musical activities. So I'll just share the story that's in my book real quick. I had a student years ago. He was a really beautiful player, had great technique, very fluid, and all of a sudden, he was a college student. All of a sudden, his hand was a mess. His right wrist had carpal tunnel, and he couldn't even play. It hurt so bad. And it was an inflammation, basically. And so nothing had changed about his guitar playing. He didn't get any new gigs or anything like that. So I started asking him what was going on with his life. And usually a lot of times if people get too busy or stressed out or whatever, that can put them at kind of an extra risk for injury. And so what had happened with him, being a broke college kid, he got this job at like Sam's Club or something in the meat department, cutting giant pieces of steak for like 6 hours without getting a break. Just constant repetitive motion with this big knife. And after about 2 weeks, he couldn't play guitar anymore. And so it never even occurred to him that might have, a direct connection to his guitar playing. I think most people just assume that it's all right here, when in fact it could be something that completely, separate from the guitar. So as you're building your self-awareness of how you look and how you feel when you play guitar, also just be mindful of those things away from the guitar, because those things sometimes they have to compound, and then when you do those things together, you reach like a breaking point, and then that manifests in an injury. And then the first thing to do is just lay off and, maybe take some like ibuprofen or NSAID or something, or ice it, or just lay off. Rest will usually take care of it. But it's more important to recognize, kind of like what Rich opened up with, if you have any bad habits, like the way that you sit, or if you're holding your chords too hard, or you're just playing with too much tension. That's really important to identify so that you're getting to the root cause of the problem.
Yeah, that's. Thank you, Sean. That's right on. Got a funny story. Dale Zdenek, who published Ted Green's books, one time he said that to me. Man, me and Linda were out, his wife, we were out doing yard work, and Ted came over, and he wouldn't help us. We've been friends forever, and, we're doing this, and he wouldn't. He says, I'm not going to help you. I might hurt my hand. And so he said, okay. You know, so Ted Green didn't do yard work, by the way.
That's a great excuse. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, you could use that. I don't want to hurt my hand. Yeah.
Actually, I will say something though that because I've heard some horror stories. Just to be on the other end of the spectrum here, the great classical guitar player from Cuba, Ray de la Torre, he babied his hands so much to the point where everything atrophied. Like he didn't ever do anything with his hands, and the problem was he ended up suffering horribly because he hadn't built up that strength. So I would say, you know, don't baby them to the point where like you don't have any strength. It's okay to like hammer a nail. I mean, do everything with care, but it's okay to do stuff like that. You just have to be mindful. But the more important concept is to not overtax them. But also, like any physical therapist, a hand therapist will tell you this, dude. Like, don't completely just like walk around all day with your hands, you know, like not doing anything, because then things will atrophy. So you know, you got to find that middle balance ground as
Yeah, that's a good point. I noticed, you know, when I go to the gym and, you know, I bench press, I don't know, 500 or 600 pounds. And well, not really. When I'm pulling down on this 60-pound thing and I'm squeezing my hand, I noticed after a couple of weeks, boy, my hand got a lot stronger. And that was a good thing. Actually, it was a good thing. So, yeah.
Well, just like doing any athletic activity, you want to make sure to stretch your hands out before you play and stretch your wrists. And a lot of the stretches that I have my students do, these are exercises that physical therapists will give you after you've been hurt. I live in Colorado, so the hand therapists here and hand surgeons are always working on people that have ski accidents and snowboarding accidents. So there's a lot of rehabilitation. And so a lot of those exercises not only are rehab exercises, but they're preventative exercises.
Yeah. So I do have to say this. You know, Todd Johnson, he would always open up with the whole group when we used to do that with these exercises. And, you know, you go like this and then push this down and do this and stuff. Well, I did it the first day. And I regretted I did that because it was like, oh man, I did something. I'm not. So whatever you do, you got to take it easy. You don't force things until don't hurt yourself.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, like don't roll out of bed after not working out for 20 years and then try to run a marathon.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So. That's funny. I can feel that just by doing that. I feel it right there.
But you know, you bring up a good point. It's important to do that when you go to a camp, because all of a sudden, like, you're at a camp and it's intense and you're playing guitar all day long, which is great. I mean, it's awesome. But you just have to be mindful of that. That's all. You know, and if you need to take a break, then you just take a break for a few minutes, but just keep loose and keep hydrated and keep stretching throughout a practice session, and you'll be fine.
Right. That now, Gail wrote on here, and she said, "I noticed Rich's posture changes from one guitar to another," and I think that is so true. This 16-inch guitars for me, for some reason, I have a tendency to hunk over, and 17-inch, I feel like it's a little more. I'm not doing that. And then 18-inch, it's like, you know, you're standing up straight because here you got this big plywood thing, you know, hanging off you. And so, you know, like a Strat, I'm like crunched up over, you know what I mean? And I never thought about that, but
Yeah, it's really true. You know, most people, when they think about buying a new guitar, it's like, well, of course, is it in your budget and how much money? But usually it's like how it sounds, how it feels, how it looks, all of those considerations. But usually, if it's on the list at all, usually at the bottom of the list of considerations is how it actually feels with your body, ergonomically, how it fits. And I'll just tell you, I have if I can do a little shameless self-promotion here.
Do it.
I have a brand new recording out called All Blues, the Blue Guitar Project, and it features, I don't know if any of you guys remember from the 90s the Scott Shinnery collection of blue archtop guitars. And they were in the Smithsonian and the Met, and they're really famous archtop guitars. And those guitars, because Scott Shinnery was a very large man, he's like 6'6" or 6'7", they're all 18 inches. And they're huge guitars. Like one of them is a Gibson Super 400, and that thing is like driving a big pickup truck, you know?
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's really noticeable, even if I play a 17-inch or a 16-inch archtop after that. It's just so big. And I had to be careful when I was practicing a lot for the record and then subsequently in the studio, because they're so big for me that my shoulder would just kind of be, the guitars, they just have that width. And so, you know, man, after about like 15 minutes or so, like I had to take a break, and it's like, otherwise I would have gotten into a problem with my shoulder being really weird. So it's really true. The size of the lower bout, the depth of your guitar, that's a big one too, you know. So
Yeah.
these are all considerations.
It's almost like trying on shoes. You know, you can get a 9.5 D in one style, and the another style, it just 9.5 D ain't gonna work. You know, it's weird. So, yeah, I don't know. It's rough, but your body does kind of adhere to it, or whatever the word is. You know.
Yeah, you can.
In my youth, I had a Les Paul. Don't tell anybody, but
Oof.
and it was heavy, and I actually felt like my upper torso turned a little bit. Anyway, I was talking to a chiropractor back then. I don't know if I believe him, but he said he could tell what kind of guitar people played by looking at their spine.
Oh yeah. Well, let's see. I thought I saw Rob on here. Oh, there he is, Rob. Hello from Newbury Park. Rob is a good friend of mine from Thousand Oaks, and we went to high school together. He has an injury they call Telecaster injury or some kind of thing. I forget the story behind that, but
I was thinking of something similar, and this is just something to be mindful of. Two things I'll share with you guys. For once, I was playing a lot. I was doing a record. It was when I was doing my Monk record, and I was also doing a bunch of sessions in Denver. So I was playing, and I had the guitar for many hours a day, which I don't recommend, but I just did it because I, was making money and all that. But what happened was I had the ulnar nerve runs up in this part of the inside of your arm, and it was just constantly draped over a big arch top.
Yeah.
So long that it got inflamed, and it really hurt. Like I couldn't barely play. So for me, I went to an acupuncturist. There's a school of Chinese medicine in downtown Denver, and there was a guy there that worked with musicians, and a lot of musicians have had these kinds of issues. And acupuncture, as long as you don't have an aversion to needles or anything, it saved my arm, literally, when that happened. And that was about 15 years ago. So that was something. And then another thing, I have a feeling this might be the telly thing. There's a condition called costochondritis. I always call it Costcoitis. But it's a costochondritis. Costochondritis, yeah, that's it. And it's an inflammation, the itis part, of basically this bone right here in your chest.
That's it. It was something to do with his rib in his
so
front
if you're playing like
cage
a telly,
here.
or like in my case, it could be a dreadnought or an archtop. What was happening was it was pressing in too hard, and it's just like this thing pressing in your sternum so long that it was getting inflamed, and the result was like chest pain. It was really scary because I was like, man, is something going on? Like, am I having heart problems or whatever? And I finally, I had lots of doctors misdiagnose it, and finally, the one doctor that diagnosed it correctly, he was like, "Oh, as soon as I told him that I was a guitar player, he was like, "Oh, this is what you have," and they were right. And as soon as I kind of changed it a little bit so that part of the guitar doesn't meet and press in too hard, that became, I became mindful of that, and it went away like instantly.
Right, yeah, that's funny. Rob just responded. He said it's called Telecaster rib. He said, I had it for 30 years. I corrected my posture while playing guitar and have had no issues in the past year.
There you go. Great.
Yeah, it's funny. We were talking a couple of weeks ago about the Fender lawsuit. And Rob called me afterwards and he said, while you guys were talking that, I had the ex-CEO of Friender in my office. We were talking and watching the show.
Oh man,
So he-
popcorn's out.
He got some real insights there. Anyway, yeah, man. So the goal is to be able to play till you're dead. So, you know, if it's 90 or 115, whatever it is, you want to be able to play well and not hurt and all that for a long, long time. John Pisano, you know, played till he was, I think he was 94 when he passed away. I think he played right up until that point, 92 or 94. But his posture was not so hot. You know, he was slunched over and, you know, kind of, which you got to watch out for. I have another friend in Nashville, wonderful. He was with Newgrass Revival and stuff. Wonderful acoustic lead player. Anyway, he did a billion sessions, and from being with the guitar all day, he had hurt his lower back and has had several surgeries, and it's just been a miserable time. So you really don't want to hurt yourself, that's for sure, because you want to go for that long run.
Yeah, and they're called the L5 or L4 surgeries, ironically, or the most common ones.
Yeah. I'd like an L4. Well,
I'll take an L5.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you notice that Rich is wearing a nice, like, thick pad. That's important when you're sitting, and also, like, when you're at home, just mix it up a little bit. Like, I have a chair, a bar stool, and I'll stand and just mix it up. I have a good friend that's a great classical guitar player. I share one of his stories. He's one of the contributors to the Holistic Guitarist book. He was a guy that got into trouble because if you think about it, classical guitar players, they practice sitting down, they perform sitting down, and they teach all day sitting down. So they never get a break. And so before he was 40 years old, he couldn't walk down the hall without the use of a cane. It was really bad. And he got the surgery. And now he's just like, he does yoga, he stretches all day long, and even as a classical guitar player, he forces himself to get into different postures and not sit all the time, just to break it up a little bit. And, you know, this is kind of a sad story, but there was a clinic when Jim Hall was later on in life. You know, you see all those pictures of Jim Hall, it's kind of the same thing. He's like Glenn Gould, like slumped over his guitar. And somebody in the audience asked if he had any advice for a young guitar player. And he said, yeah, like, don't hunch over your guitar like that. And this was at a point in Jim Hall's life where he couldn't stand upright, like he was walking like that. It was really sad, but he was absolutely, you know, serious when he said that. So this stuff is important, man. It's really important.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And so, yeah. You know, so, yeah, those habits, and it's all habits. And that's what...
It probably doesn't need to be said with this group, but especially in the old days, you know, the people that had some longevity stayed away from alcohol and drugs. And, you know, the music scene...
What's
at
your
least when I
point?
was young, it was like everywhere, and I think it still is, you know. So.
Everyone calling it Rich Severson and then Sean McGowan. Do you ever practice or perform solo fingerstyle with
What the heck is that?
AI.
Oh, jeez.
I have no idea. I posted a question and apparently it converted to audio.
Grok's taken over.
I guess so.
Yeah,
So yes, absolutely. In fact, I prefer that. Whenever I find it more comfortable to stand when I play.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm starting to do that, and I just wanted to make sure I'm not wrecking myself doing it. It's,
Well, yeah, like, it's just like when you're sitting, just again, maybe like take a video of yourself and just, you know, notice like, is one shoulder up way higher than the other? Or do you tend to like, are you slouched over? Because, you know, when you're playing guitar, you're so immersed in the fretboard and you're so in here that it's easy to, you know, not pay attention to what's happening on your back or your legs or thing, you know, so video yourself but just check in with yourself, and maybe you need to make some adjustments. Maybe you need to play with a different strap or try a different angle or something like
If
that.
I might tag on one question, how do you keep the guitar from tipping, and like when you're sitting down, you rest the bout, inside or outside your legs. Is there any problem when you're standing with the guitar tipping or not standing? No.
For me, the secret is the strap, and it's amazing how much of a difference a strap can make on your guitar. And to make it even more of a moving target, different guitars have different strap lock positions.
Yeah.
That stuff makes a difference. I mean, it's subtle, but it does. So like some people, you got it up here, some
Yep.
people right here on the heel cap, some people up here, and depending on where that is, again, most people don't think about it, but depending on where it is, that will affect how the guitar hangs on you. So you just, I don't know, I want to hear what Rich thinks about it, but for me, those things and what kind of strap that I'll use really affects the comfort of what
Yeah.
I play.
Sometimes I'll put my strap over the lower bout. I don't know if you can see that, like that, to keep it from rolling this way
Huh.
when I'm holding it. So it's just right there. My hands come to it, but it won't stay. So I was going to put a drywall screw right here or something.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do that. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
toggle bolt.
at the Mid Coast, at Rich's Central Coast Guitar Festival 2 years ago, I met a guy there who's one of the vendors, and he's in Pasadena, and he has a company called El Dorado Straps. And, they're really like high-end straps, but man, I have to say, like, I don't have it I just had it a second ago, but that really made a difference. It was like really thick, beautiful, like soft lead. But there's something the way it holds the guitar. I'm assuming you've checked those straps out, Rich. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
That guy?
I've known Bill for decades. Yeah.
I
He
was
made
amazed
me
at how much of a difference that made.
this strap.
Fancy strap for Santana, that's like super wide and padded, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I had one that cost more than the guitar.
Yeah, well, yeah. So for me, when I was playing originally, how I was taught to play was like this. I don't know if you can see that, but maybe like this. Like I'm going to shoot a gun, like a rifle. And then you put it down here. Well, after a while, my shoulder went, after, 20 years, that shoulder just went south. And I could not. It was so painful. And so I sold my archtop guitar and got a Chet Atkins nylon. That's all I played for a long, long time. And then I got back into the archtops, and then I realized I'm holding the guitar wrong. And so I started doing it like this, where it's actually just on my, I don't know if you can see, it's like on my knee here, you know what I mean? It's on my knee, and the support of the guitar is right here. My shoulder is straight. Don't have a problem with that. And the support of the pick is just right here, like this, blah, 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 blah. And I have no problem with the neck falling down. Now, when I go to play standing up, it's the same kind of deal. This elbow is here, like there. And that feels good to me. And I have the neck up, so I have a good positioning with my... When you got the neck down, your freaking hand is... Look at this elbow. And I got all these videos where I used to teach this, and I need to get rid of them because maybe things have changed. And so I don't have that anymore. I have it like this, and it's less of a curve, you know what I mean? And everything feels much better. I feel like I play much better, and without pain and
it's
strain.
different for everybody. That's kind of the journey you have to figure out. I mean, it's the challenge is that there's no like one size fits all. Like do this, this, and this, and everything will be great. I mean, there are overarching things you can say, like don't practice too long without taking a break. develop a self-awareness, watch out for cumulative trauma. But in terms of all these little things, you have to figure it out. So some people, and even with just you, it might be different with different guitars, but like some people like Martin Taylor, for example, they have the guitar on their left leg, you know, it works for him. Other people, it works for their right leg. Some people don't like to have it on any legs. I mean, if you watch Joe Pass, he's got a completely different thing going on. But generally speaking, there is that classical guitar kind of technique like this. If it's too low, then you're just going to compromise your wrist in this way. So you want to have it straight for both hands. And for me, with my right hand playing fingerstyle, I don't have a classical technique at all. I've never studied classical guitar, but my idea was that my wrist and arm are always straight, and it's just like an arm on a record player. It just drops right down onto the guitar, and there it is, and I can play. And you can see that my wrist is never doing this or put in a position that might cause the nerves to stretch and then become inflamed.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Crazy, huh?
Good stuff, though. Good stuff. People don't talk about this for a long time.
Yeah. Somebody wrote here, Ralph Simonson, get out on walks as often as you can. Jogging is for younger people. Walking is very therapeutic for the vertebrae, for the column, relieving pressures from long sessions. Jim says, I find holding the guitar like classical players do is less stressful on my right shoulder. I plant the body on the left leg while still wearing a strap. I think Sean's right. You got to find what works for you and really take a look in a mirror. That's such great advice. To look at yourself and see what the heck you can see if something's really twisting or something, and when you see that, you're gonna say that someday is going to be a problem, you know. So yeah.
Someone posted a video of me playing that I saw last night, and I noticed that I was hunching over my guitar, probably just so I could look at the neck, which is like. What did Bruce say, that the neck's always pretty much the same thing. The frets are always in the same place. So why we have to do this, I don't know. But anyway, so I my chair here that I usually sit in when I practice, I locked it and make sure that my back now, because I was kind of leaning back and doing all this stuff, and then I was doing this. So I locked it, and now I have to be, what Sean was talking about, that awareness thing. I just have to be aware that my back is against the back of the chair, and that way I know I'm not doing this. That's how I hopefully solve that problem, and hopefully from now on it'll just be a trained, conditional thing that I do when I'm playing, rather than rolling over the guitar.
Yeah. Good advice. Yeah.
I'll tell you something real quick that you can do right now, like while we're all just sitting here hanging out. So if you're sitting in a chair, which we all are, the easiest way, again, to build a habit to prevent that slouching or the spine, becoming crooked in the neck and all of that, is if you reach down. I do this all the time in my workshops. If you find your pelvis bones, your pelvic bones down there, your hips, if you slouch on purpose right now, and it's easy to do if you're holding the guitar, right? Just slouch on purpose and then feel what your pelvis looks like, right? And then imagine your spine is curved. So now with your hands touching your pelvis, just simply roll your pelvis forward and just try that a couple of times just to see what that does to your spine. But even whether you're all the way back in your chair or on the edge of your chair like I am right now, if you roll your pelvis forward, so now the pelvis is kind of like this and now it rolls forward to that angle, your spine automatically goes up. And so now you can find that you can sit like this, whether you have a guitar on or not, quite comfortably for a long time. And so if we were in the same room right now, I usually turn my chair, sideways so you can see the difference between slouching over and then just being up like that. And you can sit like that for quite a while comfortably without slouching and causing some problems.
Yeah, good. Good boy, Sean.
I did my homework.
It's a blessing having you. Really is. All right, so back to our question of the day. What are some habits that you practice that might help others? Anybody got anything to say about that? Good.
Hey, Rich.
Yeah.
I was inspired by, over the last week, I think you were talking about writing out your solos.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so I haven't been doing that, but what I decided to do was actually write out rhythms and
Right?
then practice those with the metronome. And
Uh-huh.
that's been pretty cool. I mean, I'm just sort of starting it, but it's sort of my like back to basics
Yeah.
initiative.
Well, yeah, it's not basics. It's a fundamental unit of music, probably the most important one. So it needs a lot of attention. Sean, what we were talking about is writing out rhythms and then composing, filling in the notes for a solo. So you got a rhythm of do da ba do da. There's one measure do da da da. Now you need 4 notes.
Yeah.
Boom. Now you got a nice little riff. So
Great practice.
That was those were great lessons. I mean, it helps you
It
sound
helps.
like you're a musician.
well, that's just we're all fakes just waiting to be discovered.
Yeah. Well, they should have that in a segment of all your, like at the Yosemite and everywhere. It was a great exercise.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Paul Franklin was, I've been playing pedal steel, and one of the things I've done is slow down, And Paul Franklin was saying he got to see Buddy Emmons practicing when he was young, and he thought Buddy would be up there, just playing chops. And he goes in and he sees him, and he's literally working on like one note at a time and getting it perfect and getting like everything about it, the tone, the attack. And so that's kind of with my guitar playing, I'm doing that a little bit more too. Slow down and be a lot more deliberate with right hand and left hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was Muriel Anderson. I heard her speak once. And either she was taking a lesson from somebody or giving a lesson to somebody. But it was kind of like trying to get, instead of let's playing a bunch of things, in the beginning, let's try to get the best sound you can out of the guitar, where you just take one note, a one string, try to get a nice, solid sound. And anyway, that was her deal. And she said that it's kind of like who was it? Who was the famous painter? Was it Picasso? Maybe it was. When you studied with him, you spent the first year mixing colors.
Mm.
So yeah, same idea. We don't pay too much attention to the tone. You're so concerned with the notes and stuff, and you forget about the tone, because the tone is in the fingers too. So you got to have a good tone. I don't know why. So I imagine, especially when you have a non-fretted instrument like that, you're probably looking for a good, make sure you're on pitch too.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing that we don't have to think about is intonation, in to the same extent that a horn player or a fretless instrument does. So those players, especially classical musicians, spend a lot of time on long tones. Those bass players will just do the long drawn out bow just to get that perfect. And you listen to somebody like Edgar Meyer, and it's just like perfection. So yeah, it's Rich is absolutely right. Like it's really good to spend some time just doing that. It's interesting. Many years ago, actually, when I was in high school, I remember there was an issue of Guitar World magazine, and it had Steve Vai's infamous 8-hour guitar workout. And I think there was this tendency, maybe because I was young and in high school, to think it was just 8 hours of nonstop shredding. But I actually sat down there and read his whole workout, and a long time was spent just listening to one note, which is in and of itself almost like a meditation type of thing. It's kind of like those George Van Epps books, right? Like the idea of like fingering a triad or playing a chord really slow so that every note is perfectly balanced, perfect tone, good intonation. You're not on the fret, you're not buzzing out or anything. And that's kind of like a meditative quality of listening to the guitar that not a lot of guitar players do, like horn players do, for example, or maybe singers. That would be better for us to do. Just really pay attention to your tone as you generate it from your hands, because as Rich said, it's all here, right? And then there's certain things like your strings and the pick that you use, or fingers and amp and cable and all that stuff. But man, almost all of it is just coming from right here, how you strike the string and how you get it happening with your left hand.
That's so true. And one of the things you can do is work on your vibrato. You know what I mean? I would just wiggle your finger. If you watch Ted play, he was always going, always doing this, bending his neck.
Yeah, Tim does a lot of that too.
This is harder to bend on this, but a telly, it's just hung on there by 4 drywall screws. Yeah, it's easier to do.
Hey, Sean, in your book, I haven't read your book yet, but have you found any connection between like string gauge and any of these either issues or best practices?
I'm definitely like a string experimenter. I think that strings sound different. Different gauges sound different on different guitars, and a lot of people will change gauges. But I think it's like anything else, is time worth spent on your tone. My personal opinion is that it has more of an effect on the physicality of the guitar and the sound, more so than my own playing per se. Like I don't, I like heavier strings, and I like that kind of resistance. Like I can barely play a guitar with 9s on. I mean, it would take me a long time to get used to playing 9s or 8s or something. But I feel that, like, for example, with heavier gauges, some guitars, they're just too stiff on, and then other guitars, they're okay. So there's a little trial and error with that. And then, ultimately the best thing, which a lot of players do, is kind of create their own gauges. And that is really kind of taking it to the ultimate level of like finding what really works with your guitar. And I'm sure you guys know, there's a company in Nashville called Stringjoy, and you can go to their website and order like your own gauges, basically create your own string set. I think it's interesting. And then some companies like Tomastic, they'll come up with their own variations, like those George Benson strings. It's interesting. The lower strings are a lot lighter than most 12s, for example, are like 12 to 52 or 12 to 54. And then there's the classic thing of players taking off the top 2 and putting 13 and a 17 on top. But, if you can really spend some time thinking about what works for your technique, and especially for your guitar, because they do react different, that's time well spent.
Yeah, Sean, you probably haven't heard, but I have a string gauge set that I've played for years, and I've made it available to these guys, which is 13, 15, 20, 28, 38, 48. Again, heavy top, skinny bottom.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of like my.
I like that, actually. I mean, I just splurged and bought a set of Tomastics, but it's kind of the same thing, like heavier top, lighter bottom, and it's really nice, actually. Especially playing a lot of bass line stuff, I just feel like it's a little bit more balanced and.
You don't have that big booming bass. Yeah, I agree.
And it also depends on what kind of a pickup. I think they react different to the a single coil versus a humbucker, whether it's like a like a round core versus a hexagon. I mean, you can go crazy and nerding out about this stuff, but they do have actually, I never tried these strings before, but just for fun, a friend told me about these GHS strings, like the nickel rockers, they're called. They're roll around, and they're supposedly like halfway between a round and a flat string, and they're really nice. They're pretty cool. And then somebody else was just recommending this company called Pyramid, has like their Monels, like those old Monel strings, and supposedly that's the closest thing you can buy now that would be like Charlie Christian would play, like those old Monel strings on
Oh,
ES 150. So it's just kind of interesting to think about that stuff. And if any of
yeah.
you guys have seen the Rick Beato video recently with George Benson will talk about like back in the day, all you could get was the black diamonds, and he would get caught on the strings because there would be these little tacks and stuff.
Yeah,
So
as
that
soon
was a
as you
problem.
said black diamonds, my finger hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But then there's these stories of Johnny Smith like loving black diamonds and buying them all up when he found out that they were going out of business. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's crazy. You
it's good to
know,
experiment though. Try everything and see what you like, and they're different on different guitars.
yeah, right. So, yeah, it's all about, it's problem solving. It's all problem solving.
Yeah, it really is, and it's different for everybody. I mean, that whole thing about like, I mean, yes, thicker strings will give you a heavier tone, but it also depends. I mean, like, B.B. King uses light gauges, and there's lots of people that have great tone with light gauge. And then, of course, Wes used 14s, and there's the Pat Martino is kind of the ultimate example of that. But, I found that if I'm using like a 15, I've tried it. I've tried everything, but like a 15 for a high E, that's like choking the guitar. Like I couldn't get any sound out of a guitar. If you're kind of going for one dynamic or one thing, that might be it. But for me, playing fingerstyle solo guitar a lot, it just was way too much, too stiff.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Well, Sean, I'm going to show him something, and you're welcome to stay because you'll have input too. Or if you
Sure.
got to go, can you?
I'll hang for a few minutes, definitely.
All right, good. And this goes back to like
Problem is, there's so many things going around.
what? Somebody say something. Whoops, Sean, where'd you go? Oh, there you are. I want to, when we were talking about like just playing long tones and stuff like that, and all that good stuff, and maybe in the morning when you pick up the guitar, I think this is something that's helpful. And that is this. Let's say I'm in the key of G. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play every note in the key of G here. Now I'm going to start here, and I'm going to play every note in the key of G. And now I'm going to play every note in the key of G. I might do that, or I might go, now let's just do that. All right, so now I'm going to take the next string and I'm going to go key of G. Well, there's an A in there. G, F sharp. And I'm looking for a good sound, and I'm just playing. And now I'm going to play the combo. I'm going to go. Now I might mix it up. Now I might do, I did that. Or did I do that already? Whoop. It's all in the key of G, right? Now let's add another string. So here's an E. So now I'm going to add another string. Or let's see, what did I just do? Oh, I skipped string, sorry. Did I do that? Oh, I did that one already. Sorry. And then, of course, you can play them as chords, as fourths. It doesn't have to be these notes. It could be other notes, but play them as chords. Whoop. Whoop. Check this out. Whatever it is. Whoop. So, what does that do? Well, for one thing, you get to know the neck in the key of G, right? So, by the way, it's all about diatonic harmony. Whether it's a major key, a harmonic minor key, an altered dominant key, and it's all about that. If you took an altered dominant scale, did the same thing with that against certain chords, it's endless, the possibilities of things. Get the idea? That's something that I think is good for the brain, for the fingers, getting the tone together, just getting the fretboard knowledge together, and I think that's really important. You keep adding strings, or just use the middle four strings, do something like that. You get all these nice combinations of things. And it doesn't always have to be in fourths. It could be whatever you want in thirds. Let's say I want to do this. Let me go this way. Or let's go this direction. So this is going to move down to here. Yeah, and then there's more correct ways of fingering that, right? But who cares? To be honest, sometimes I like to play like that. It doesn't always have to be some shape that you learned early on. What do you guys think of that?
So good. I love it. So important. So important.
Yeah, Sean, right? So,
We end up with a lot of the chordal harmony stuff doing that, right?
yeah, well, it could be any harmony. It could be a harmony in fourths. Chordal just, anything is a chord. You're talking about the quadrants of fourths?
Well, stacking in fourths.
Yeah, the stack fourths. Yeah, that's what we
I
just
just
did.
tried it, and I came up with some of those things that you showed me before.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fourths are great because I mean they're natural on the guitar because the guitar is tuned in fourths. So just doing that exercise, they're right there. But they also sound so good, especially in jazz. But yeah, I mean the point of the exercise is just to it's just the fundamentals of knowing the fretboard, and you can easily spend a lifetime. Like it's a beast. That matrix is just like, all of the notes are in there, but I do those exercises every day just to stay on top of them. And all I would add, I mean, this is everything that Rich is teaching is so good. Just two quick things that I do with those is if you can, I don't know if you can see my guitar, okay. I'll do that a lot of times to practice bass lines, so after you kind of plot out the notes of G, then, you can do like little patterns, like maybe in third, so. And all you're doing is just getting the lay of the land, right? Just like learning where the notes are. And then you do the same thing on the A string, just like Rich was talking about. And then maybe you get to the point where you just put on the metronome, and this is maybe the springboard of the next step. Would be to like add some element of rhythm and add some element of technique and add some element of like, groove or improv, So maybe if you want to just work on your thumb technique, I would just play a G major scale. So imagine if the metronome's like 1, 2, 3, 4. And then before you know it, like once you really have a command of that major scale, you can kind of outline 2 5s because as Rich said, it's all diatonic, right? It's all, you can do a 2-5-1 just out of the major scale. So, you like. That kind of a thing, And with the chordal stuff, like with the top 4 strings, let's say if you are practicing, or I don't have a pick with me, but like if you want to practice like hybrid or just string crossing or just finger style, you could just come up with those patterns just like Rich was doing and maybe do double stops.
Oh yeah, those every other string. That's a
That kind of
beautiful
thing.
sound. That's
Yeah, or like, whatever the technique is, you could practice sweep picking a lot, whatever. And then before you know it, you kind of like, you're improvising. And I think I know Rich would agree with me. The point is, like, on the surface level, yeah, you got to learn the notes of the fretboard, and it's really good for the mind and all that. But don't ever get to the point where you're bored and you're sitting there going, oh my gosh, this is like torture doing this, trying to find the notes. Like, add some technique, whatever it is, hybrid, picking, alternate picking, fingers, and add some element of rhythm. And then what you're doing is you're staying inspired, and you're creating like a stimulus, and when you're enjoying what you're doing, it's much more, practice is much more beneficial when you're having fun. And you need to do less of it. Like 20 minutes of that kind of concentrated practice is much better than sitting there for an hour, banging your head against the wall.
Yeah. And we've all played that scale a million times. And then, I have this morning workout where you play that one shape around the fretboard. Once you can do that, don't keep doing that. There's no reason to keep doing that. Once you can do it, move on to something else. Nobody's going to pay you to go. Sorry, they won't. Hey, I hear you play guitar. Will you play my wedding app? Yeah.
Wouldn't pay you to stop.
Well, yeah. But you can use that as just the tool. You can create nice, beautiful melodies out of it. so within that scale, start experimenting and creating nice melodies where you got some big skips and stuff. So I don't know why I jumped on that, but I felt this need to do that.
No, really good. So good.
Yeah. So, well, let's see. Yeah. By the way, this does not just mean major scales. Of course, you want to do different keys. Like you'd sit up in the morning and you go next morning to the B flat scale. You know. You take that all, and then you start building your chords or building any kind of melodic line with all that stuff. But you also take altered scales, diminished scales, whole tone scales, whatever it is, and you do the same thing. And that's where it gets tricky. Because really, when you play a jazz standard, there's more dominant chords usually than there are tonic chords. There's more secondary dominants. They resolve, and then they move on to some other secondary dominant. They resolve, but you spend a lot of time playing over dominant chords. So your altered scales, you almost have to practice those more than the major scales. Well, you don't almost have to. You have to. Okay.
Make it a habit, just like Rich was saying at the top of the session here. Just like have one little goal, and I find it's helpful to have like a little practice journal or a little notebook, so you can, because it becomes overwhelming pretty quickly. So if you can keep like a little journal, just documenting little things, like just today's lesson, or like do the same thing with an altered scale or whatever it is, you just jot those things down, but still be careful not to overwhelm yourself. Just do a little bit for a day or for a week or even for a month, and then you'll find that you know it better than if you just kind of skim over it, not really digging, or just jump on to the next thing before you have that one mastered,
Yeah. Journaling is really good. Thank you, Sean.
My note for today is to tilt my pelvis forward.
Do that pelvic tilt.
Yeah, do
When
it.
I did it, I got a little snack, crackle, pop in my upper neck area. That was kind of weird.
Yeah, when you
It's
start.
all connected, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when you start messing with your pelvis, remember, do it off camera.
I used to be engaged to a peg-leg woman, but I broke it off.
Oh. Ouch. Hey, man, have you guys seen this? Let's see if this will work. Check this out. Well, hold on one second.
My screen looks like the match game.
Jerry Garcia sold his guitar on auction. Jerry. What did Jerry Garcia sold his Tiger guitar, not his Jerry guitar, $11 million. Clay, did you buy that?
I think Derek Trucks bought it, or he was involved with
Really?
that auction.
Man, that's a
There's some pictures of him playing it.
really.
Tiger. No.
Wow. Jerry Garcia is an interesting cat. He played steel guitar in some of the Buffalo Springfield stuff.
He did pedal steel on Teach Your Children.
Okay, yeah. Interesting guy.
I remember the biggest reaction to Jim Irsay dying was, who's going to get his guitars?
Yeah. With who dying?
Jim Irsay.
Who?
He passed away maybe a year or two ago.
Who's that?
Supposedly had like the world's biggest guitar collection. So the owner of the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh,
sports.
right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because we we had several things when he was buying those guitars.
Yeah, I think he had Clapton's Blackie guitar or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Strat was one of the ones he had that everybody was like, "Ooh, they're out in the wild again."
Yeah. Wow. What a
First I
trip.
heard Steely Dan had 457 guitars when he died.
Wow. Yeah. Keith Richards has got quite a, and you know who he bought Ted Green's guitar. I don't know what he's going to do with that except take off one of the strings.
Yeah, he only has 5 strings on each one.
I don't know if this is a sacrilege, but I couldn't stand the Dead. I love Jerry Garcia's pedal steel playing, but I saw them in Santa Barbara with the Allman Brothers, Grateful Dead, Little Feat, and you could leave and go back to somebody's dorm and hang out or party and come back an hour later and it was the same song.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was reading about them a while back, and there was like the Eagles who play everything exactly like the CD. As a matter of fact, it might as well be the CD, and who knows, it might even is the CD. And then there's Jerry Garcia, where they never play the same thing twice, and then they encourage people to record them and stuff like that. They have a whole section in their place to record them because they're more of a improvisational group, you know, where than a group like the Eagles. So I always thought that was weird. I never liked to play solos when I was playing, like, you know, cover band things, you know, a long time ago, you know, playing in a nightclub. I never wanted to play the solo, except for maybe a couple of them, like, you know, Sunshine of Your Love. I always liked that solo. But I never liked to, you know, learn the solos.
Because you weren't taking acid.
Well, yeah. I was taking a lot of antacids.
Hey everybody, I'm sorry I have to pop in, but I have to run because I've got
Okay.
Well, actually, Rich knows this. I'm getting a washing machine delivered in like 5 minutes. Our washing machine broke last week, which is why I couldn't come last week, partly. But I have to run, unfortunately. But I just
move it.
Well,
yeah, I won't do that.
It's-
But
Thanks
yeah,
for-
great to see you all, and
I
thanks.
was in a comment about how clean your shirt looked.
It's going to be nice to have clean underwear.
Oh
Hey.
man, yeah. That's why I have the camera far away. But yeah, thanks for having me. And
Thanks,
good to
Sean.
See you, Rich. I'll see you in like less than 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to it.
I know. It's going to be great. Thank you. Thank you. Good luck
cool.
with that washer.
Thank you. See you all soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Sean McGowan has left the meeting.
Yes, he has. Sean has left the meeting.
2 years ago, I saw the Dead and Friends, which was John Mayer playing Jerry Garcia's bits, and he had it down. He had the licks, he had the tone, he had everything. He sounded just like Jerry.
Oh, really? Ah, wow. That's cool. Yeah, let's see. What were we just talking to John Mayer? I was just reading or talking to somebody about him. Forget what it was. Anyway, what was that? Oh, darn it. Anyway,
He was playing with Schofield for a little bit too. Some people like his playing.
yeah, he's a nice guy. I was playing at I was at the Arlington guitar show, and he was there, checking out guitars, and afterwards, after the guitar show, they have a jam session in this bar, and we had left. But later on that night, John came in, and he had heard a couple was getting married in the ballroom next door, and one of his songs was one of their favorites, so he brought him in, and he played the song for him. I thought that was real sweet.
Nice.
Yeah. So, Gibson is bringing back its, come on, man. Where'd it go? It's T-top. Here's what Gibson's got on their lineup now. They're bringing back their T-top guitar pickup, whatever that is. Man, look at this. A 330. Did you see the price tag on that? $7,000 for a 330? What world are we in? Oh my God. So they have all these configurations of 335s. Oh, crazy. Anyway, let's go back over here. Hey, you want to see a little video of Todd Johnson and Ronnie Este? Hello?
Yes.
Sure.
Brad Malinowski has joined the meeting.
Let's do it.
Well,
I think this mic was set up for Will Chamberlain. I think that mic was set up for Will Chamberlain. It's so tall.
Yep. Pretty cool, huh?
I kept thinking, watching him play, that he would have no problem at all with that exercise you showed us earlier.
What exercise?
Well, where you're stacking the notes within the key.
Oh, yeah. No kidding.
Hey, Rich.
Yeah.
If, maybe someday we could do a class on how to not turn a song around or how to stay. I'm sure it's related to knowing the melody and knowing the song. But like when Ron was playing some of those outside chords and he just kept going, I'll have a tendency to lose place. Like, where am I in this song? And I don't know if that happens to anybody else, but you know,
No, you're the only one.
figuring out how to like know where you are in a tune, because some of these guys, the drummer never plays one, and nobody gives you a hint like where they are in the song. You know.
Well, Todd's pretty good about keeping everybody together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think usually the bass player is the sane one of the group, and plays a root every now and then. Some bass players never play a root, or if they do, it maybe is on end of 2 or something. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know if there's a real method other than knowing the melody, singing the lyric, just living with the song, understanding the form of the song. Just really knowing the song inside and out. Being able to, one way to do it is being able to sit down and write out the chords in a couple of different keys. Start seeing that relationship. And then there's also pivot points, that are, when you hear a 2/5 going to the 4 chord in the bridge, when you hear that, so they're going, they're doing this. And now it sounded like, yeah, we're in the bridge. So some tunes it's hard, man, because there's a lot of repetition, or it's got a weird thing like, what is this? How High the Moon, That's a tricky one because but here, it's like, it's a weird turnaround, so it's sometimes that
Not what you
gets
expect.
confusing.
Don't expect the song to go there.
Right. Hey, Brad, I saw you for a minute, but then you left. Well, look at, guys, let's see here. I think I've done everything I wanted to do today. The thing that I think is the big takeaway from this is the small habits. And Gail put the link for that book, the Atomic Habits, on there. So you might want to check that out and see how it pertains to guitar playing, what you can do for your guitar playing to just make a difference. Little tiny things done consistently make a big difference. And it's it's hard to create a habit, but let's face it, there's 2 kinds of pain. The pain of regret and the pain of discipline. So whichever one you want, you're going to get. Or you might get both. So Brad, I don't know what happened to you, but I brought this guitar out today, this 575, what is this, Natural, because it's a sweet guitar, and I thought maybe you'd like to see it, because we had talked about this. Let's play a tune on it.
Which guitar is that again, Rich?
This is the Heritage 575 Natural.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking about. I'm sorry I've been in and out, but I'm having some construction done in the backyard here, so
Good
I
for
came
you.
late, but good to see everybody. I look forward to meeting you all.
Yeah, well, Sandy will be there.
I will.
Yeah.
Okay, Sandy, I'm Brad. Nice to meet you all.
Look forward to seeing you in person, sir.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, this guitar is kind of a special little guy. Let's play this tune. It's because it's right in the very beginning. Can you hear that? Thank you. Anyway, there is that guitar. I was working on it this morning, just because I hadn't played it in a while. Adjusted the neck and lowered the action. The action's crazy good. Anyway, you'll get to see it then. Well, unless we got any pressing issues, I'm going to see you guys tomorrow at 11 o'clock on the library, and we can talk about some other stuff. And I want to say thanks for Sean for showing up and talking with us, and thanks to you guys. I appreciate it. And I will see you later, Gator.
Thank you. Oh, I've been playing that one a lot too, Rich.
You have?
Yes, I have. I love it. I absolutely, yeah.
The fishing hole?
The fishing hole, yeah. And you know how last week I talked about songs having words? That one has words also. There's some newgrass group or whatever doing it, and it's great. It's all jazz, man.
I think there's a version of Andy Griffith singing it.
Oh, really? Okay. That's one of my favorite shows, man. I mean, of course, we all grew up.
And you and Gail. I like it too. Do you know what song this is?
Is that My Three Sons?
Oh, yeah. It's interesting. I used to live in Southern California in a 55 plus community in Beaumont, and the guy that played Chip, that was
Yeah.
Stan, it was Stan Livingston. He lived in the neighborhood. He's still there, I think.
Yeah. Don Spade says,
Small world, gentlemen. You know, small world.
yeah, it's a small world after all.
Yeah, I mean there were some great musical compositions from all those shows, and even from the cartoons. You
Oh,
know, the
absolutely.
Looney Tunes stuff was just great musical compositions.
Yes, like Magilla Gorilla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
I wanted to call a group I was in the Holy Magilla, but nobody got it.
Yeah.
Oh man, you know we show our age, don't we, guys?
Well, that's true. That's true. And you're young. You're young compared to the rest of us. How old are you,
Oh,
Brad?
dude, no,
You-
I'm 70, man.
Oh, that's what I said. You're young.
Oh, okay. I've been through the mill. Sorry I showed up late today, but we've had medical
that's all right.
appointments.
That's
it's
all
my
right.
wife's turn today.
Well, you'll see. If you get a chance, you can always watch the rerun on this.
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking so forward to this. With all that we've been going through, I said to my wife, I said, if there's nothing left but a spine, I'm just going to be showing up to that camp.
Good. Yeah. Glad you're feeling better. And
Yeah, I'm getting there.
good. Okay. Well, guys, I will see you later. Thanks again for joining us. And
Thank you, Rich.
we'll see you.
Thank you.
We'll see you around